Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a while since I have bought a sword from budk.com. If y'all didn't know, a lot of my swords come from budk.com. Swords, axes, daggers, a lot of it. Well, today I'm actually a pretty cool one that I actually enjoy. This is actually not the sword, it is a box. It's actually the box that it came in. It was actually two boxes, two of the cardboard boxes, and this was kind of the smaller one, so a box within a box within a box within a box. So that was kind of, I was ready to fight by the third. But it's actually got a nice design to it. It's like a dragon floral pattern on it, which is actually kind of nice. It's got a nice handle here. I don't know if it's actually that long, or maybe it's just how I was holding it, I guess. It's actually screwed in. And of course it has these two I don't know what kind of lock you call that. I guess it's just like an insert kind of lock. It's not actually too bad. And then of course on the inside, beyond just the cloth that came wrapped in and just a few of the paperwork with it, it actually comes with like a nice little orange, like a goldenish orange wrapping on the inside, which is actually kind of nice. This is actually the one blade I've ever gotten from the website that actually came with a box. I don't know if it's just this particular sword in general, or if it's just because this is the fourth Shinwa sword I've gotten. So, the sword itself is called the Shinwa Copper Dragon Sword. And it's actually, it's a pretty cool looking blade. So, at first they called it the Copper Dragon Katana. And the first thing you're probably going to notice is there's no curves. There's nothing. Straight. Like a toothpick. It's got no ass. And this here is, which is kind of the confusing part because it's a single-bladed sword. So this is the actual blade itself. Actually, if you can tell, it actually does have like a nice copper look to it. It's got absolutely no curves to it, and I believe this is actually called a Ninjato. If you ever seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Leonardo actually uses two of these. I believe they called it katanas in the show, but at some point they fixed that to call it something else. It's supposed to be a ninja sword. Right off the bat, I'm going to have to say that it's a little shorter than my actual katana was that I had. It's also, I want to say the blade is not as wide as it either. I'd say the thickness of the spine is probably the same, but just the length, the widthness here is not. It's got the nice two hands to it, but it feels like a lot lighter than my katana was. This feels about the same weight as many of my machetes do. Very lightweight. Doesn't really feel like there's much to it. And it was actually not a bad purchase, I want to say. This is actually kind of cool, but I'm going to give the complaints here in a second. So, it's a 28 and a 3/4 of an inch carbon blade, 1060 high carbon steel with a copper tone finish, and it even says on the website it is hair splitting sharp. I'm going to have to deny that one. It comes with a black ray skin wrapping, and it has a brown copper, I want to say it's called a habaki. The Suba is crafted of copper, and it is 40 inches and 3/4 of an inch long. 40 and 3/4 of an inch long. Whatever, however you say it. Anyway. God. But yes, this is actually a nice looking blade. It does look copper, and it actually does feel weighty. It doesn't look toyish or anything. I'd say if the sword doesn't have like a silverish look, sometimes it does kind of look like it's fake. Like toyish, I guess. But no, it actually has a nice sheen to it. Also because it still has some oil on the blade itself. But it's got a nice length to it. You can see that actually. Then it does have some sharpness to it, though. I will say that. The point is actually kind of nice too. It's not. I don't think it's as razor sharp. I've had a few things come in that were razor sharp, and I'm gonna have to say this is not. Got a decently thick blade. I want to say this is about maybe close to 1/2 of an inch thick of a spine. Okay, so first of all, one of my biggest complaints is here with this, with the scabbard. So right here, they're in the scabbard. So with it, when I put the sword in, with the katana that I used to have, I couldn't twist it. I'm not super strong. I didn't do anything to it. It's just that. It's just the inside here, the opening is a little bit too wide. Try to get, so right here, that's where the edge is supposed to go in, but it's far too wide for the blade to be able to just slide in without moving a bit. And that is really the biggest issue with it, because when it does that, it's just a little weird to try to put in, because when you're sheathing the sword, it won't go straight in. It's not fully sheathed, because it just, unless I have the best dexterity on the planet, it's not going to go in perfectly. Right there. But if I have it twisted or any way, it won't go in all the way. So that right there is one of the biggest complaints, because when I had my katana, it was perfect. I could take the blade out, and then I could just sheath it to go right in. Actually, it went in a lot easier than I was supposed to. Well, I guess when you do it that way, it goes in fairly well, but I would still have to say that it's just not, made. The opening is just a little bit too opening. We'll say it that way. Secondly, I've never had a Ninjato. I've had a few straight swords, obviously. My Honshu broadsword is obviously a straight sword, but it's double bladed. It's got a blade on both sides of the sword, whereas this one is just a single-edged sword. And the thing with the katana is you have the curved edge facing upwards. That tells you where the blade is at. And what you're supposed to do is press your thumb against the hilt, and then you push it out with your thumb, and then you're able to swing the blade out. And due to the curvature of the blade, you're actually able to swing it just a little bit easier, since when you're drawing the sword, it goes along. It's curved. Your arm's curved, so instead of having to pull it straight out, you can do it at somewhat of an angle, and the sword comes out. Instead of this, I can't do it with this. If I try doing it with a normal katana, it doesn't do it. I have to kind of get my arm a little bit more straight in order for it to come out. And that's one of the things. This is the first Ninjato straight single-edged sword I've had beyond my machetes, but unlike the machete, I can't have it just facing upward on my hilt like this. It has to be somewhat more at an angle, because this is generally how you're supposed to have it. You're supposed to have it like this, so if I'm going to draw the katana, I can pull it out a little bit, press my thumb against it, and draw the sword. But the scabbard, it's good made. Alright, there's really there's a few chips in it, a few scratches in it, but nothing really all that bad. It doesn't feel like it's going to break at any second, or anything like that. The wrapping's nice. That's just from the oil, but it's not bad. It's just, there's that entry point. It really looks like they might have just made it a bit too wide, because there's no symmetry in it at all. It just looks like they didn't do it all the right way. And I will say one thing, the weird part about this is, since it is a single-edged sword and there's no curvature in it like a katana, it's kind of hard for me to tell. If I just pick this up, all right, I'm not even gonna look. I got sunglasses on, but I'm not even gonna look. All right, let's do this. Okay, see if this is right. No, it's not. And I was actually looking at the wrapping here itself. It's just a little weird, because I can't tell which side is supposed to have the blade up. Unlike, a lot of other swords, a katana has the blade facing upwards. That's why when you're holding it, you can draw it out faster. And I was actually watching a video a few days ago to where it was also doing that, since a katana was brought out to use on foot. I believe they said they had another sword called a tachi, which was used on horseback, which was a little longer, but they had it to where the blade faced downwards. That way, I believe they said it's because they could just draw the sword out, or it was something. But the Uchi Katana would had the blade upwards, that way it could be drawn a lot easier. And due to the curve, you could actually arc it just a little bit, so it's easier to draw the sword out than with like a straight, single-edged sword where you have to pull it outwards. You can't do it at a curve. That's why a few techniques you can actually hold the katana and kind of swing outwards and do like a quick cut, while it's still kind of holding in the base of the katana. Just swing it out. But with this, I can't do that because it's just straight. And I guess I could just do it normally and just pull the sword out like a normal one. But I think all the fun of having something very similar to it. I don't know much about a Ninjato, and maybe I'm not even saying this is the right sword. But it's actually not that bad. I actually do like it. It does have good design to it. I like a lot of the markings on here. I do just kind of like the brown wrapping on here. It's not like too dark, it's not too bright. It just has a nice neutral color to it. It does have some a little bit of dragging down here at the bottom. Right here, right underneath love of God, I don't remember what this is called. The Tsubaki, I want to say. Probably wrong, but I can't really tell what this symbol is. It's like a sphere with some markings on it, and what kind of looks like maybe flames going around. It kind of reminds me of Yami from Okami. And it's not too bad. Right here on the top, you have your typical European dragon, or not European, God dang it, Asian dragon. On the bottom is pretty much the same, but it's in like a reverse, which is pretty cool. And of course, really nothing on the blade itself. It looks just kind of just like a katana, just without the curve, and it's not bad. It's lightweight. My biggest deal is really just, the wind's blowing like crazy. It's just there's no curvature to it, and it's not the right sword, so I can't really make that a complaint. I really do kind of wish there was like some way to identify which side was up and which side was down, because I don't want to be like, you dare mock me, fool, and pull the sword out, and I don't even have the sharp end facing towards the opponent. I am not Rurouni Kenshin, or Kenshin Himura. I am not Kenshin Himura, and while I could probably beat somebody with a blood end, it's not how I'd rather use a sword. But yeah, it's kind of nice. I bought this for $79.98 from the website itself. And it's a nice little deal. I would like, this is a nice add to the collection. They do have other colors for like the katanas, but I feel like the brown, and I'm not meaning just this kind of sword in general. I mean, on a few different websites they have like red, green, blue, kind of different colors. But I feel like brown, gray, like kind of, they're neutral colors in a way, and they're not so bright and overpowering to a lot of stuff, that it just does feel kind of nice just being able to have this sort of mellow look to it. And I'm a brunette myself, so it's kind of nice having a sword that somewhat matches my hair. But it is a nice blade. It does have some sturdy construction. I don't hear or feel like any movement. The blade and the hilt feel pretty good, even just kind of pulling down. I don't feel nothing. I don't hear any shaking, any rattling. The biggest complaint, or the biggest flaw I could see, is just the entrance to the scabbard, because just due to it being not. I don't know how they make the entrance. I want to say they use a file or something to kind of get it in there. I don't know how they did it back in the day. I'm going to say they did use files, but for this, it's hard to tell. But it's not terrible, but just trying to get the blade in there perfectly is kind of a pain. That doesn't make or break it. Because when I do it that way, I want to say there's a certain way to call, certain thing to call that. I'm not entirely too sure, but it actually works pretty well. Oop, there we go. I don't think I ever do that right. I think you're supposed to have it way lower. I think you're supposed to do it like this. A lot of people, you're supposed to be like they say, when like you're really trained at it, you can do that without looking at it and do it really fast. But yeah, anyways, it's a nice blade, and it does come with a pretty nice little storage box. And I would definitely like to learn a little bit more about these. But we'll see how it does in a testing video. But as for right now, that is all I got. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.